Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Hi YouTube, I'm Chris Pirillo, and this is your Geek Out for Thursday, June 14th, 2012. You know, the Geek Out is sponsored by GoToAssist from Citrix. You can take control of your IT world from one simple cloud-based platform, and GoToAssist proactive alerting allows you to fix small issues before they become big problems. For a free 30-day trial, visit GoToAssist.com, click the Try It Free button, and use the promo code Pirillo. Android ice cream sandwich. Do you really need it? Well, for the sake of many of you, and that is 70% of the galaxy who are still, unfortunately, not running ice cream sandwich on your Android device, the answer is you may not need it. And I realize it may sound a lot like sour grapes because your device may not be upgradable to ice cream sandwich because your carrier or the device manufacturer just hasn't rolled out an update for it. But really, what is it that you want to do that you can't currently do with Android, the version of Android that you're happy with? You could post to Twitter. Well, yeah, you could do that before. You could check email. Yeah, you could do that before. You could browse the web. You could do that before. So don't feel bad because you can't get the latest version of Android. It's still a workable device. Do you really need ice cream sandwich? I'm very happy to report, too, that I'm finally going to get my hands on an Android device with ice cream sandwich. I'll let you know what I think. How to add a computer to a domain. If you have to manage more than one system inside your enterprise, sorry, I didn't mean to slap you there. It wasn't really a slap. I was just moving my hands. You may consider setting up a domain. And I realize that most home users wouldn't need to go this far unless, of course, you wanted to build up your experience and you wanted to be able to have something you could put on your resume. You know, if you don't know where to start with building a career in IT, it starts by learning, and you learn by trying. Give it a shot. We've got a tutorial to help you along. More about CompTIA A+. Now, I don't have a single certification, but then again, I'm not an IT professional. I know many people want to become an IT professional, in which case I tell them, you may want to get certifications. So you run through a battery of tests, and then you get a certificate that says, hey, this person really knows what they're talking about. And then you could use that to get a job. And if you don't think that geeks are in short supply, this may be a big community of tech enthusiasts, but they need skilled people. You may just be one of them. So if you're curious about this particular certification, we've outlined what you can expect and really more about why you would want to have certifications. How I became a believer in online backups. It's easy to click a button and then just go hands off with backups. Why futz around with local drives? I mean, it'd be good because you got your hands on, you know that you don't need to pay for anything past the drive, and then you can take the drive off site. But there's just something incredibly convenient about pushing your data in an encrypted capacity, of course, to a remote location, knowing you can get to it with a good degree of ease at some point in the future. How much would you rather spend? $50 a year or $500 to repair a hard drive or SSD that failed you? Or maybe even more than $500. Online backups aren't expensive in the grand scheme of things. How much are those priceless photos that you've taken worth to you? Then you respond and tell me how expensive online backup is. How Scrabble or Words with Friends makes you smarter. Use your noodle! And by noodle, I don't mean some form of limp pasta. I'm talking about your head, the brain, the mind. Engage it. I think that there's something to be said in commanding a language, whichever language you choose to use, and you may not be able to verbally communicate as well as you could communicate in a written fashion, or typewritten fashion, or a punched fashion, depending on how you use the words that are in your noggin. Thinking of any other words I might use for your cabeza. I'm sure I can come up with a few more if you just give me a few minutes. But the bottom line, you can expand your vocabulary, and believe it or not, when you use words that are cromulent, you'll embiggen yourself. Uh-oh, Redesigned YouTube is starting to roll out for some users, and it reflects the influence of Google+. Well, Google Plus's layout's not bad. Maybe the improvements will make it easier for you to stay subscribed to channels you were subscribed to in the first place. Kindle, iOS, Android, and Cloud Reader now supports children's books, comics, and graphic novels. See, they've separated comics from graphic novels. I like both of those. Children's books, I don't really read much to Wicked or Pixie, but it's nice to know that I would be able to get to that content from an iOS or Android device. I mean, really, does it matter what device you use so long as you have a choice in the devices you use? Maybe at some point you'll get one. And then you will be able to use a Kindle platform, and that's really what they're turning it into, to get the word out about what you want to share. Because you could be a publisher too. You could put your stuff out there and people can buy it. People want to hear from you if you have something to say. Or maybe you can draw real well. Make a comic. What's stopping you? Game developers already abandoning Google Social Network. When they introduced games to Google+, a lot of users in Google+ kind of, whoa, what the hell? And we turned it off. I haven't seen a game notification really since they allowed me to turn off game notifications on Google+. I love Google+. I think it's a great place to share content, to discover content. In fact, I think there's better ways of discovering content on Google+ than there are through Facebook, and certainly through Twitter. There's a certain amount of permanence with Google+. But for games, I don't know. I've yet to meet someone who goes and stays on Google+ simply for the gaming alone. Who knows what Google's going to do with it? Maybe they'll just push the gaming stuff back into Google Play. Ruling says using trademarks in artistic works can be protected under the First Amendment. All right, works for me. I mean, I've got a trademark logo, my Locker Gnome logo, that I've used here, there, and everywhere. I've seen it pop up in places that it shouldn't have popped up in, and ended up having to go after those people. I'm like, hey, you did not get permission to use that logo. You can't use it there. And in some cases, I freely allow people to use my logo. For instance, you can download the paper cutout desktop of me from desktopgremlins.com. I've talked about it before in recent weeks at least. And this is fine. It's an okay use of the logo because I said, yeah, that's cool. It's me. You can make me there. geekykido on lockergnome.net asked, should I upgrade to Windows 8 or stay with Windows 7? It's a loaded question. I don't know. Do you have a touchscreen device? Yes. Upgrade to Windows 8. I think it would be warranted. Do you have a touchscreen device? No. Then maybe you don't want to upgrade to Windows 8. I honestly think that Windows 8 is going to find a certain degree of success in the marketplace, but mostly in the world of touchscreen computing. You've got a bifurcated user experience. So you've got the classic desktop for legacy apps, but the next stage is really going to be inside of Metro. And so to have a good Metro experience, you've got to use it on a touchscreen device. That's just the way it is. I mean, doesn't mean that you couldn't put Windows 8 on your desktop computer. It's just that a lot of the attention and time being spent on Windows 8 and possibly with Windows moving forward is going to be in Metro. That's just the way Microsoft wants it to be. And you know what? I don't think they're all that wrong. I mean, I think they bifurcated the experience and did that incorrectly, but I don't think they're wrong in betting Windows' future on touchscreens or touchscreen devices or certainly mobile computing. Frankey Juarez asked, what is the most successful career? Someone already answered the question on lockergnome.net. It's the career you've chosen, the one that makes you happy. Now, this isn't a question, but I did want to bring it up. I, today, have decided to cut the cord. I'm no longer using iTunes to manage my iOS devices. I was in the process of selling my Extra Macs. Yes, I had Extra Macs lying around, and I sold them. A few of them were old, to be able to make enough money to buy a new MacBook, a single MacBook, the MacBook Pro 15-inch with a Retina display. And in the process, tried to move my iOS devices from a computer that was using my iTunes to manage, or partially manage, to another computer. And halfway through it, I just was so frustrated with it. I'm like, wait a minute. I guess I don't really need to use iTunes anymore. I talked to a couple of people, and they said, yeah, I haven't used iTunes to manage this device or that device, so yeah, I guess I don't really need to use iTunes to manage iOS devices. So bye-bye iTunes. I didn't like you. I never liked you. I think you need to be rewritten from the ground up. I think you've gone well beyond your years. I've never really needed to use you. I've never really wanted to use you. And now, thanks to iOS 5 and higher, I don't need to use you, and I can still enjoy the freedom of an iOS device backing up to the cloud. Oh, great. Now I've got gamers beating down the door telling me that a PC is the only way to play games. We'll see you later.